How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. There's not going to be much Bitcoin left very soon. I want to talk about why that is, why I just went long on Bitcoin. I want to talk about a lot of the news in the market and how to make huge returns and why you don't want to miss out on Bitcoin right now. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. There also is a link down there to HGAaccess where you can get information you can't get anywhere else from myself and about 9 other influencers. And there's also a link down there to Margex where you can trade cryptocurrency. I actually just put on a long as well. You can see this inverse head and shoulders pattern. This could be really interesting, especially with some of the other stuff that's happening in the market right now. I went long, but always do your own due diligence. There is a link to Margex underneath the video, and you get a 20% bonus as well when you sign up. It's powered by TradingView too, which is nice. So you can keep everything right here. You can keep all your notes on the screen and you can trade right here very simply. So definitely check this link out underneath the video. Now, I just want to say right off the bat, I am in a new area. I am not obviously in my normal office. Rob just posted about this. The markets are important. Make sure that you're making money, but remember why you work so hard. Now, I am here. You can't see it, but right behind that building is a nice beach right in Florida. So we're right on the ocean. Definitely something that I want to do a little bit more of. I want to make sure that we remember in the end why we want to make money is for freedom. It's for freedom of movement, freedom of time. And if you can't enjoy it, then what's the point? So just a little reminder there. Now, crypto is looking pretty solid. Bitcoin up at 43,000, Ethereum at 2,300. We've had a little bit of choppiness, obviously, over the last couple weeks. Also, I should say this too. I apologize. I'm a little bit sick or something. Not sure, but we'll make it through. I promise it won't be too bad. You can see choppiness up to 49K, now back down to 38, now back up to 43. It does look like a pretty interesting head and shoulders pattern. This being the left shoulder, obviously this the head, and then this the right shoulder. Typically this is bullish, nice little break up, especially if we see it break this prior level around 44,000. I think a lot of people will start probably buying, going long, and probably for good reason. GBTC outflows continue to drop, 145 million as of yesterday, the lowest since ETF launch. Previous outflows, 641 million, 515, down to 429, 394, 255, 192, up a little bit to 221, but then back down to 188, 182, and then 145. So the flows are weakening, the flows out of GBTC. What does this mean? Well, this is really bullish for Bitcoin. We also saw that IBIT and BITO, the BlackRock and Fidelity ETFs, are coming in with higher numbers of flows or higher volume than GBTC. Obviously, this is really bullish because that means that more money is flowing in than flowing out of these ETFs. And it is kind of interesting when you look at how much they've been buying. Like these two ETFs now account for 130,000 Bitcoin. That's almost as much as MicroStrategy, and this has happened within 3 weeks. Of course, this probably will slow down or could slow down. I don't want to say probably, but it could slow down. But when you look at how much is left, how much Bitcoin's left, about 2 million Bitcoin divided by 43,000, not because of Bitcoin's price, but because that's about how much these two ETFs have bought per week over the last 3 weeks. That leaves about 46 weeks of supply. Of course, there is some flowing out of GBTC, but you have to remember there are also whales that are buying. There are countries that are buying. There are other entities that are buying in this too. So there will always be supply. This number's never really going to go down to zero. There's always going to be some Bitcoin on exchanges. But if there's not much, or if the demand grows and there's more being bought up every week, well, price shoots up. We also know just people in general are getting more excited for Bitcoin. Bitcoin searches are going up. You can see a nice little tick up from the bottom of the bear market. We're almost back to like end of 2021, beginning of 2022 vibes. Like it's very similar to the levels when we were at the tail end of the bear market where people were like, oh, maybe Bitcoin is still going to move back up. It's come down a little bit. Maybe I should buy. That is about the level we're approaching in terms of search volume. Plan B says after April halving, Bitcoin will be scarcer than gold and real estate. It would surprise me if Bitcoin market cap, which is less than 1 trillion, will stay below gold market cap, over 10 trillion. This implies a Bitcoin price over 500,000. Gold stock to flow ratio 60, real estate stock to flow ratio 100, Bitcoin stock to flow ratio is going to be 110. Now, I believe how this number actually works out is just like 1 divided by that number is how much we get in new stock each year. So like 1 divided by 100 is 1%. That would make sense because Bitcoin's right around, I believe, 1.7 right now. I could be off slightly on that, but it's a little bit inflationary, over 1%, below 3%, but it's going to be cut in half. So that is super bullish from him, saying that he expects us to hit 500,000. He expects that is how it will work out. That's a 10x from here. So if you don't have Bitcoin in that scenario, we're probably going to see a lot of people try to get into Bitcoin. They're going to get in later. You're going to be kind of screwed because if Bitcoin's already at 200, 300,000, well, at that point, the downside I think is greater than the upside in the short term because that's a 6x move from here. That's a 10x to 15x move from the bottom. Usually you don't want to buy assets that moved up 10 to 15x that are huge assets. Usually you don't want to buy them when they've already moved up that much, but a lot of people will get in towards the top of the market and probably have to sit through a nasty bear market. That's kind of what happens usually your first cycle in Bitcoin. The Bitcoin halving is less than 2.5 months away. Depending on when you're looking at it, it's right around 2 to 3 months. This is obviously an important point too because there's just going to be so much less selling pressure. The miners are one of the largest sellers of Bitcoin on the market, and they will have half the supply. And I realize I talk about some of this stuff a decent amount, but we get updated numbers. And it's just really important to hammer this home that Bitcoin is really rare. There's a really good chance it could 5x in the next bull market. There's a really good chance it could 3x. And I realize some people in crypto think that's not very important. That's not very big. But in traditional markets, that's nuts. I mean, that takes decades. Now, we also know that some countries are possibly getting in as well. Like, yeah, it's great to see Fidelity or BlackRock, but honestly, the amount of money and the amount of work that they can do to bring people into crypto is kind of small compared to some sovereign wealth funds. Like, we always talk about BlackRock and Fidelity like they're the end-all be-all. But remember, they're not the ones that actually control the money. They don't hold $10 trillion themselves. It's clients' money. It's assets under management. However, you look at large, really wealthy countries like Qatar. They are the ones that control how they invest. They don't have to go and advertise to people. They just decide, okay, we want to buy this. And then they go buy it. So if these rumors of Qatar or any country are correct, that they are going to go buy Bitcoin, well, that can shoot up the price like nothing we've seen before. Something I personally forgot was the fact that Qatar and El Salvador have been in chats before. They've visited, like the powers that be have visited each other before. And this is probably one of the reasons why Max Kaiser is saying that there's very good evidence that Qatar is going to buy Bitcoin. He says $500 billion worth of Bitcoin. I don't know about that, but there's still strong evidence to suggest that maybe they are going to do a $10 billion purchase, $50 billion, and that could grow over time. I mean, if you're a large country like this, you can invest in Bitcoin. You can buy billions and tens of billions, right? That's not really going to move the needle that much compared to how much money they have. I mean, that's still a great investment, right? But they're probably going to want to put a good amount of money in it, and it's one of the scarcest assets on earth. And one of the, I think, most secure assets on earth as well when you just look at how secure the network is. Keep in mind, it's not just crypto, too, that's done well recently. I mean, we have one of the top 10 companies in the world in terms of market cap. They went up 20% in a day. I mean, yeah, they had good results, right? They beat on earnings. They beat on revenue. They also announced a dividend. They increased cash flows. That's great. It's not like they did something like NVIDIA where they said, actually, your estimates are 50% too low for next year. Okay, they changed up the fact that they're going to have a dividend. That's great. That's going to offer them to a lot more ETFs to buy, like dividend-focused ETFs. But 20% had a $200 billion move in a day. Like, there is money out there that's looking for returns. We're going more risk on as a market. You can see countless big tech companies hitting all-time highs. Microsoft, Google hit an all-time high. Meta, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, not so much. But all these other companies hitting all-time highs. And then there's Bitcoin that's just been it's been explosive and then just kind of ranging. But eventually money will want to flow into assets that can do those kinds of returns. That kind of brings me to my next point. This is where we go away from Bitcoin a little bit, but Alex Becker makes a really good point, and this is something that I've been seeing as well. There's a series of IDOs and ICOs coming up in gaming that are about to melt faces. He talks about one specific one. He says getting in projects early before we run later this year is perhaps the most lethal strategy one can have in crypto in 2024. There will be countless 0 to top 100 projects in the next 1 to 2 years. AI, new L1s, games, game infrastructure, research your ass off, he says. FYI, I never suggest you buy an ICO, IDO at drop. You'll get torn up. Yeah, a lot of the time you want to invest before, or you want to wait for it to fall down a little bit or consolidate. But I agree. I've been investing in a lot of early stage crypto projects. I think there's more potential there, and I've been seeing more. Like when you see launches of cryptos, there's so much excitement right now. There's a lot of capital trying to get those 10x's, 100x's, and that was not there in the bear market. It just wasn't. There were a lot of projects that just waited and waited and waited, and then the projects that did launch kind of flopped a lot of the time. Now we're seeing cryptos, even if you don't like them, even if there's controversy around them, that are doing 10x's, 20x's, 100x's, right? So I think I'm going to start working with Tencent. So I had worked with Tencent during the last bull market, and they had so many huge launches. If you don't know about them, they had, I think, 3 or 4 cryptos that launched that did 100x or more. One that did a 300x, and luckily I had some allocation to that. I invested in that. They are starting to roll out more and more gems now. So I'm going to be paying attention to this. Full disclosure, I don't hold Tencent tokens, but if you do, you can get in on some of these launches, and they have had a lot of good launches, as I've said. Like, let's take a look at their launch pad here. So here they have Satoshi Island. Okay, that did a 2,000% gain. Before that, though, they had a token, Fame MMA, that did 30,000% at the top. Everdome did 9,400%. MetaHero, 16,800%. I mean, that's 168x. They also have a bit of a protection program, which allows you to claim your money back for 7 days. 7-day no questions asked policy. So if you don't like how it launched, if you don't like how many X's it did, you could just get your initial back. Now, most of these cryptos do really well, so I don't think they get many people that want to claim them back, but it is something to be paying attention to. They also do airdrops too, which is really interesting. I believe this is to token holders, and yeah, you could have gotten, they donated 25,000 Tectum tokens, 4 million Fame MMA tokens. So the token's current value about $2,000, but it was much more before. The current token value for Tectum is 677,000 USDT. I mean, that's nuts. That's a lot of money going to the holders. Tectum is actually one that I wanted to get into. I actually worked with them almost a year ago, and I didn't buy. I said in that video I hadn't bought them, but they were really low at the time that I had been researching them. It was before they even got on this chart, I believe, and now they've just blown up. They did like a 15x or something like that, and then have come back down, consolidated a little bit. But these are some of the projects like Tectum, a layer 2 on Bitcoin, like Inspect is one that I've invested into in the past, which is a layer 2 for Twitter. Like, those are some of the crypto projects that I really think could do really well. The majority of my money is still in Bitcoin, But when you have cryptos at 5x, 10x, like you can put in a percent of your portfolio or 0.5%, and it can still actually be substantial in the end. So I'm paying attention to cryptos like that. Also, I know a lot of people hate SafeMoon, and probably because one, it was kind of Ponzi-esque, but two, they didn't like the fact that they didn't actually deliver on a lot of the things that they wanted to, or that they said that they're gonna deliver on, like the CEO went to jail and stuff like that. I know that there are actually some OG SafeMoon people that started up this Operation Phoenix crypto. You can buy it on PancakeSwap, and I know they're working with some other big influencers now too. But they have 600 holders and a $3 million market cap. They moved up from $1 million the first time I saw it, and 38% total staked in a little bit over 24 hours. They're trying to do a lot of the stuff that SafeMoon promised. This is something too, like narratives like this, I think can do well. Like fixing what happened in the past. These types of narratives can do well. Now, full disclosure, I hold some of this token, and I will be taking profits if it grows a lot and it gets to a large market cap. But like this kind of stuff makes sense to me. These kinds of narratives, whether it's layer twos, whether it's launch pads, whether it is fixing the past, like these are where small amounts of my capital go to try to chase those big returns. The majority of the portfolio anchored in Bitcoin. Now, I had someone ask me, like, how do narratives work in crypto? This is something that came from a Patreon member, and I thought, wow, that's actually a really good question, because a lot of people are coming into crypto for the first time, and it can be hard to get narratives right. Like, you hear narrative and you're like, okay, well, I saw Solana meme coins were doing well, and I bought some Solana meme coins, and then they just fell down. What the heck? I thought that was the narrative. And what I said back to him basically is, okay, this is something that takes a while in crypto to kind of get the feel for. You can kind of get like a sixth sense for it. But basically, if there's a kind of crypto that does well, let's say a Solana meme coin does well, and then another Solana meme coin does well, that's where you really have to like dial it in, like, hey, I should be paying attention to Solana meme coins, because everyone then starts looking for the next Solana meme coin because they've done well in the past. More people want those returns. So then money starts to flood in. Now, you don't want to be the last one trying to get in. That's basically how it works. You don't want to be like, if in a game of musical chairs, you don't want to be the one that keeps on walking around when everyone else gets a seat. Like, you want to be early or not at all. I think a lot of people feel like they need to get into something, and oftentimes they feel that need to get into something after they've already seen, like, in the background something was happening, and then they brush it off, and then they see it more on Twitter, like, hey, this is doing really well. They brush it off. Then finally there's a point where they just capitulate and buy and like research and stuff. But usually that's too late. So that will those people that are chasing returns will continue to try to chase returns up until the point where projects find out that there's so much money flowing into the ecosystem that they try to oversaturate it. They're trying to money grab, right? There are too many of a certain kind of crypto that the capital can't flow into one specific thing. It kind of flows across a bunch of stuff. Maybe there's some rug pulls and that stuff, and then the money leaves. Like right now, we're seeing Solana cryptos, Solana meme coins fall down a little bit, and maybe that comes back up. There are a lot of people that think that it will, or a lot of people that hope that it will because they have bags of Solana meme coins, and it probably will come back at some point. But when there are enough projects that try to make money in an ecosystem that are brand new, capital usually flows out, at least in my opinion. This isn't a science. This is like science and art, but it's just psychology, right? When there are enough projects, there's less capital to go into each project, which means that their returns are worse. There are more people just trying to money grab, which means some people have losses, and then they get sick of it. They go to some other ecosystem. Like, I'm not even saying this is the next huge ecosystem, but we know AVAX, for example, is going to buy. They said that they had like, I think up to 50 million or 100 million to buy AVAX meme coins. That might be another narrative. That might be the next one. If we start to see a couple AVAX meme coins take off, well, AVAX is going to be buying meme coins. They probably are buying these meme coins. They're going to keep on buying these meme coins. Oh, the token's doing well. AVAX is doing well. So now they have more capital to buy meme coins, like that kind of stuff. a lot of the time the narrative follows the price. A lot of people think the price follows the narrative. It's a little bit of both, but a lot of the time the narrative follows the price. So if something does well, there will be reasons why it does well. So keep that in mind. I just thought that might be important to talk about because a lot of people are newer to crypto, surprisingly, right? Like probably 10% of the people watching right now, maybe 20%, are brand new to crypto in the last couple months because we have been moving up. It attracts more people. They have questions like this. So I think it is useful to go through questions like this every once in a while. Now, let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Again, you can check out Margex if you want to start trading cryptocurrency. I put on a trade recently. You can check out that link underneath the video. There's also a link there to HGAccess. And definitely check out like Tencent and launch pads in general. I've talked about CDFI on the channel before. I think Ape Terminal has been in a lot of controversy too, but they've had some good launches. So check out all those launch pads because that can be a way to make a good amount of money. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.